Hey, this is Jay Pursoon from Lava Magazine. I'm here in Fuerteventura, Spain, one of the Canary Islands. To my right, immediate, is Caroline Steffen from Switzerland. She top Ironman athlete and Cervelo sponsored athlete. And to her right is one of the co-founders for Cervelo, Phil White. We've got a couple of interesting bikes here. This is the debut of the new P5. Phil, tell us a little bit about this bike. It's definitely got a slant back towards triathlon. There's a lot of things that are going on here that it's going to make this pretty interesting for triathletes out in the races.
Yeah, I think so. We've been looking at how triathletes use the bike over the last few years, and as bikes have got faster, they've also got more and more difficult to use. So people have moved to proprietary brakes that are difficult to set up, don't actually do much braking, are difficult to live with, and we said, hey, that's not where we should be going. We should be making something that's easier to live with and actually works better. They deal with proprietary systems, and everyone's got a proprietary aero bar that only fits on their bike. It isn't adjustable. It's difficult to live with. It requires hundreds of different pieces. And we said we've got to get back to something that is both higher performance, meaning it is faster, like with Cervelo, I think is always associated with making a faster bike. And we've got to keep moving along that pace, but let's figure out a way if we can make it so that we can also fit things that actually work better with standard commercial interfaces. So can we fit an aero bar that's also faster, but fit it onto a standard 1 1/8" steer?
Yep.
Can we have a brake that fits in the standard commercial mounting points, and you can swap between brakes and figure what you want, but also make it faster? Oh, and can we actually have it so that it actually stops the bike?
Yep.
And you don't need a whole full-time mechanic to set up your brake. And then can we actually build it so that the triathlete that's racing can actually have storage on it that's actually, instead of tacked to the top tube with duct tape and electrical tape, can actually work on the frame and work with it and actually make it faster.
Okay.
So those are the focuses. Make it faster, make it easier to live with, and make it work with standard commercial interfaces.
Tell us a little bit about the brakes. That's a major addition. You've got hydraulics going on for the first time in a tri-bike.
Yeah, well, I think we looked at the situation on brakes, and everyone is going more and more proprietary and having difficult brakes to work with. They didn't stop frequently. We found the cable path was so circuitous that there was so much cable friction that you had to pull really hard to get anything to happen, and then you had a really hard time modulating the brake once you had the brake applied. So we said, how do we solve that? And Magura had world leader in hydraulic brakes, especially on the mountain bike side. They've been solving this problem forever, and we said, okay, so we have to do something with Magura that's going to make a great brake for a time trial or triathlon bike. So we worked a lot on the aerodynamics. We designed an aerodynamic brake that actually fit in an integrated aerodynamically with the frame, and then we had Magura do the hydraulics on it and develop the system. So it's a sealed system. There's no maintenance. There's no cable drag. It's got about a 50% higher brake power than a traditional, like a Dura-Ace level brake, and at the same time, it's super easy to modulate. So there's no cable friction, so you can actually really control the brake and the bike really well with it. So it's a huge step forward for brakes in general, but on tri-bikes it's even more of a monumental move forward.
Cool. I guess, Caroline, that would be probably a big thing that you had a chance to ride the bike yesterday for the first time. When you're training in the Swiss Alps, that's kind of a big deal, being able to stop.
Yeah, of course.
How did you enjoy just that experience in terms of being able to have just that kind of braking modulation?
I was really excited yesterday to be the first one who's actually riding the P5.
Yeah.
I'm riding Cervelo since for years nearly. I had the P3, P4 over 2 years, and I jumped on the P5 yesterday and definitely felt, wow, that's a big major step to faster, to a really good bike. And we had a couple hours on the bike with a big photo shoot, and I reckon I spent 5 hours yesterday in the P5.
Good training session.
Yeah, it was a really big session, but I enjoyed every minute, and I really look forward for my first race in the P5.
Cool. Phil, just a little bit about the frame. You've got quite a few changes, and you were talking about the aft of the bike, having the frame really meld with the rider and how important that is. I kind of want to talk about that, and also looking at Caroline's bike here, definitely a different front end. That might speak a little bit to the ECI limitations, but also just the interchangeability of the bike.
Yeah, I guess the big thing with the bike is we started looking at it, and the airflow is different depending on what zone of the bike you're talking about. So if you look at the front, the aero bars, they're pretty much in clean air coming onto the rider, so it's a relatively simple, nice clean airflow, so it's relatively easy to design for that. If you look at the down tube, it's working in the wake off the front wheel, so that's a bit messy, a little difficult to deal with. Of course, the fork is working in conjunction with the wheel, so there's airflow being dragged around the wheel in kind of both directions. Then as we move down the bike, the rear of the bike is affected by the rider very, very heavily. So you got up at the top, or in this section here, you get your thighs, which are running very close to the frame, and also are much larger. Okay. And then you move down that, below that, and you see you've got your lower leg, and it's a little bit farther from the frame, but it's still definitely affecting the airflow. So the rear of the bike is really a lot of dealing with what's happened from the legs and that actually the rider's butt as well. So you'll see that we've actually generated a little bit more drag on the frame. We've actually got this truncation here that actually generates a little bit of a negative pressure zone here. Okay. The neat thing is it helps keep the flow off the rider and helps it reattach. So it kind of helps reattach the really disturbed flow off the rider. And then we've really managed the flow through the top tube here and this little upsweep at the end here to try and direct a little bit of flow back up towards the rider's butt, okay, which helps him fill in that big void behind you right there. Okay. So all these things are really, really subtle, but they all work very effectively with the rider. It's a little different at the front. You have different priorities because the airflow is so much cleaner there.
Cool. And then again, just about the options of forks for a triathlete that wanted to change, just to change their fork, change their bars, change, there's a lot of interchangeability.
Yeah, the Euro brake is legal for both triathlon and UCI racing. The fork is not. This is a fork that's designed for triathlon. It's just got a longer cord, it's a little bit faster. But for UCI races, which is what Team Garmin will be riding, then you'll see that they'll have a little bit narrow cord fork there. But still, the Magura brakes is what the team will be riding this year with those significant advantages. The way Caroline's bike's set up here is it can't be, so you can see that you take a standard setup from Campagnolo or any other cable brake traditionally, and it works just fine on the frame as well. So that's one of the advantages of having a standard mount, is it'll take any brake from any manufacturer. So if you're partial to one or the other, you can actually just bolt that on and it'll work just fine.
Cool. I guess last question for Caroline. Getting ready for the season, what's your game plan? And hopefully we'll see you on the P5 out there. I know that that's kind of up in the air with regards to what your coach, what team TV Brett Sutton chooses. But what's your game plan for next races? And
next one will be Abu Dhabi International Early March.
Yep.
And then Ironman Melbourne,
yep.
Of course, it's the big one in Australia this year.
Yep.
And then there will be another race in April, somewhere in Asia, and then heading back to Europe in May and start the season in Europe.
Yep. Hoping this is going to be your gun for the races.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be awesome.
Excellent. Cool. Thank you guys both for your time and thanks for having us here.